So the way that I play The Sims is when I got The Sims 4, I made myself. I think most people do this, where they basically make themselves, and then at some point you make yourselves. But I don't think a lot of people play The Sims like you make yourself and then you have your sim get babies and just play as the babies for the rest of the gameplay. So that's basically what I did. I started off with myself. I found a wife, and I got the kid. I made kids. I made babies. I made lots of babies, and I played as a babies all the way down. And those babies had babies, and those babies had babies. So basically, that's how I play The Sims, and I've been doing that for 20 generations. And the Davis legacy is like the main family that I used to play, and this is Lucille's lab, by the way, so you don't know. So the Davis legacy is yeah, most of the Sims I played, and for each of the Sims, I don't think I've shown this yet, but these are all of the Sims from the Davis legacy that I've played as over here. All of these people, and I'll tell you exactly how I because from the Get to Work expansion, it's not all of it. This is just all of the Davis Legacy after the Get to Work expansion pack came out because that's when the cameras came out. So this is the earliest, or yeah, I think you could call it the not the earliest. Yeah, the earliest generations. So this is the family that I started off. All of this is the family that I started off with during the Get to Work expansion pack. You can probably notice due to their attire. So this one is like half alien, and then you have an actual alien. I think one of these are actual. I think Fiora, Fiora was actually an alien in disguise, and Zarella, I think that's her call. That's what her name is just a straight up alien. And so if you see the background, I'm gonna let you know how I organize these pictures so I know exactly which generations they're from. If you see the backgrounds of these pictures, one is black, this background is gray, this background is white with some shade, this background is just plain white without shades. So, God, I need to control the camera. Can we control the camera here? Hold on a second. I got it. Hold on a second. Here we go. So, this, so the different color the backgrounds that you see indicates different generations. Of course, you get to loop around to black again, but how I usually do, like every other generation has different color background. So generation one, let's just call this one, even though it's not. Generation one, black. Generation two, gray. Generation three, white. Generation four, black. And I tried to get creative with the shading, like with the backdrops having some shade in it, so I could like basically be able to tell the difference. So I kind of remember playing as all of these people, and I can kind of go, um, like down the genetic line, and kind of let you know like who was who. So she was obviously was a businesswoman, and and he was a comedian, I believe. So that there was a comedian. I think he was married to Zarella Eden. Then the James family was integrated into the Davis. Um, I took the there's a I took the portraits with the I think is there one in here? I meant to put one in here, but there's a photo shoot that you can put down, and you can add the photo shoots to the. You can when you take a picture, it gets the medium picture, and you can just add it to the wall. And I got the idea to do this when they introduced the photo shoot to begin with, and I was trying to take a family picture, but it wouldn't let me, so I just took portraits. And I'm like, hey, what if I just did this for like every sim that I've ever played as? And so like that's kind of just what I did. Um, and they do like different they do like different poses too, depending on their moodlets. So like because Nather was a comedian, I got him into a playful mood before. No, I think that's confident. I think for some people I did. You get them into different moods to get them to um, pose differently. So before this, if you're just looking at this family, like this generation, um, they didn't. We were still poor. Like there's no millionaires at this particular generation. But then you move on to the next generation, which is over here, and it's organized top to bottom. So this is it's going top not top to bottom, left to right, top to bottom, if that makes sense. So this is the generation where we actually got to 10 million simoleons, as you can see. So like the Davis, I made a business called Davis Legacy Bank, and you can see 7 million simoleons. And this much money came from these two people, really from Beatrice, because Beatrice was the painter. And during the Get to Work expansion, like because the Get to Work expansion pack came out, I she basically sold all of her paintings at like 200% more expensive. I did not use any cheats. I actually made this more of a challenge to myself to get to 10 million simoleons. And I didn't even know that 10 million simoleons was the highest that you can go. Technically, I don't know if that's true anymore because you could just put millions of simoleons into vaults now, and you can have more money. So like I don't like I don't know, but like we've never had any money problems whatsoever, and we've even like opened up a bunch of businesses. So like this Victor and Beatrice are actually twin siblings, with Beatrice being the she was a really good cook, and she was a really good artist, and the best by the end of her career with doing the business with her painting business, she began to sell ambrosia. She can get up here. Lucille can get up here because Lucille actually belongs to this generation right here. So Lucille, because she's not dead yet, I mean, she's never really taken a portrait. I can even go. Ooh, one thing I can do. I can even go. I think I have some save files that goes a little bit back. It's a little bit like time travel, and you'll be able to see like some of the sims that you have here. But yeah, Lucille belongs to this generation, and so this is like how we got 10 million simoleons. And so Beatrice is like very very famous for that, or famous in the family for that at the very least, since Get Famous wasn't out yet. This was the next family. This is when they were like living in mansions. You can probably see their kids, and I think he was adopted. Some of these kids, like they started adopting some kids. So Zachary was adopted. Kinsey was like yeah, Kinsey was the daughter of Beatrice, I think, and you go down and you kind of see, oh, he was adopted too, Philip, Eline, and then you have this. So like all of these sims are not made. All of these sims like were born, and so like these were twin brothers. And I was thinking about like with twin brothers or with twin sims, like maybe this was Mac and Ezekiel. But I was thinking about like maybe the twins would be in the one same picture. But I stopped. The only thing I regret is like I stopped naming people at some point. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, you probably get to see like a little dip. So this is like Pearl James and Princeton Davis here. Princeton was basically like a fucking psychopath. So he stole all of. So he broke off. He was trying to break off the wealth from the Davis family to keep for himself, along with his sister Pearl. And so this was like one of the times when I wanted to do a Rags to Riches story for the third time. So this is like Tracy Davis. So like as you see with these portraits, Tracy Davis and Skylar, they were basically homeless and they had to work to even build a house. Like they started off with a lot with nothing, right? Like they didn't have anything. They had to build, like they had to find a job and build as they go on. So that was my Rags to Riches challenge. And the way that I did that is I just split up the family. So Princeton had all of the money, and Tracy Davis and Philip had, or Skylar had nothing. And when Princeton died, the rights to the money, of course, goes to Lucille because Lucille is a Davis through and through. You can kind of probably see her family relations, which is not all of it. This is just the This is just the babies that she's had, and we can kind of get to Lucille last, since she's like the ultimate boss level kind of person. But yeah, they had like a kid. Giselle, I think, was a single mother, and she had a kid, another daughter. She had a daughter that wanted. I forget her name though. She had a daughter that wanted to be an astronaut, and so she's an astronaut here because she was like a big nerd and was really interested in space and stuff like that. So she became an astronaut. After like after two generations, they had a fair amount of money, and I've never played. So like I did acknowledge that she was this person was this sim was actually part of the Davis family, but I never played her. I think she lived in some kind of apartment for a while, and so you go down the generation, and you get Lacey Davis. I remember Lacey Davis because that's when she opened up the bakery. Um, yeah, she opened up a bakery which still exists right now. We'll go there after we're done here, kind of touring here, um, and we'll show Eden Labs, and we'll even go to some like save files to kind of see like how things were before. And all of these sims, I remember these sims were politics because I think this was when also um, the apartment. I think this was like was it what was the expansion pack where they introduced politics? So I knew that she was a politician right here, the one with red on, and she was some kind of style no, not style influencer. She was something else. Like either it was either it was a critic of something, like maybe a painting critic. And then you had the sim who was, I think she was the wife of Ryder. Uh, this who was like, I think she did like nude art. This like they actually, I don't know if they have any pictures. I didn't really save the pictures. It's kind of just like her particular personality that kind of, yeah, I think it was I don't know what kind of packet what packet was, but Keon, this is when things kind of get interesting. So Keon was so what happened with Keon? I know that either I think his mother got turned into a vampire, and that's when he went to. Okay, now remember the story. So Keon mother turned into a vampire, and I'll teleport her up here because I think the door is locked. And that's when he didn't really he didn't believe in vampires or anything. So until his mother was turned into a vampire, and he spent most of his life trying to figure out how to make a serum to turn his mother back into a human, only for his mother to refuse the serum. And his mother's still alive, of course. She lives in the big mansion with Elise Davis. It's so Keon's mother is Dakota Dawson, right here. Yep, yep, yep. And yeah, like he didn't. He kind of just lived the rest of his life just knowing that his mother was a vampire. And this is Kelly. I think I do remember now that Kelly was also so Kelly is the granddaughter of Lucille. So like just a little bit of history. My God, I didn't say anything to you, Siri. No, stop, stop listening to me. Stop listening to me. Okay. But Lucille had a kid with Talon, and that is now Countess Elise. The history of Countess Elise Davis, because she is a Davis, was that if you had the vampire expansion pack of The Sims 4, you would know that there was this one guy named Count Vlad, and he lived in that one big mansion in the Forgotten Hollow, and first thing that Elise wanted to do, because she was a child of blood. No, child of the moon, I think it was called. She had elder blood or something in here. She had the smackaroo, or whatever you call it, the MacDuffin, whatever you call it. That basically allows her, in my lore, it allows her to unlock all of the skills in the vampire tree. So she was the only vampire. She was like the most powerful vampire at the time, rivaled by Count Vlad, who had the mansion, who owned the mansion and lived alone. And I think she got some lessons from Count Vlad on how to be a vampire. And then at some point, she betrayed Vlad and killed him and took over his mansion. And she still lives there now. We can go. We can go there. I kind of want to go there to kind of like let you know, like see everything. But yeah, yeah. Basically, she's the new countess. I call her Countess Elise now. That's when her name was changed. So she was still alive, of course, and then she had a daughter called Kelly Davis, who is basically a pure blood vampire. And the funny thing is, the granddaughter Kelly is actually stronger than Countess Elise, but Kelly doesn't really know that. Like, all she knows about Countess Elise, she doesn't know that Countess Elise is not a pure-blooded vampire. That she's like, because Countess Elise is from Lucille, who is a human, and Talon, who is a vampire. So she's only have vampire who happen to have the child of the moon perk. But with Kelly being a pure blood vampire, she's stronger than her mother. She just doesn't know that because, one, she's been taught to fear her mother for ever since she was a kid, and that really is pretty much it. Like, all vampires actually is scared of her because she's so ancient. Like, she's very old vampire. But anyway, that's Davis. That's the vampire Davis legacy family. We're getting to vampires a little bit later, I suppose. Um, and then you just have all these Sims I've played. How I usually play is the reason why I have like kids. I use the kids when like a new stuff pack or a new expansion pack of The Sims 4 come out. I use the kids to kind of uh, adapt them or find a way to integrate the Sims that have already been born into the gameplay, so that it makes sense, and so you'll kind of see that happen. Um, so I think you can. Oh, Dawson is here. She was a Davis. Okay, yeah. So Dawson is here, but she's a little bit later, and so you kind of see all of the other Sims that I've played recently and you can see like as the generations. This is the cool thing. As the generations progress, you can see like their new clothes expressing the fact that that was when the expansion pack came out. Like the new expansion pack came out, so you can see like I think the latest expansion pack was really ecosystem, and but at some point it was get famous, and so you see here. I'm forgetting. No, university before that, right? And so you kind of see like you basically you get what I'm saying. As the generations go by, you can kind of see them wearing more clothes that are that comes with the later expansion packs as well. And there is one sim like I did take a picture of Reina Davis, and she's supposed to go up here as well because she's a Davis, and I'm trying to keep track on all of the Davises. Oh, that's too small. Where's the medium? There we go. No, no, no. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. No, that's the wrong color. So I'm gonna have to find a bigger room in a second because this room is almost filled. Silver. Okay. I think she is the only Davis. Technically, she is the only pure blood Davis. I mean, there are other Davises, so I think Alfred Davis is a Davis. But when he gets older, that's when I'll take his picture and choose another background, maybe white, to indicate that he's from another generation. Usually I take a picture of them when they're a young adult or when they're adults, depending. Well, Lucille takes the picture. And you can kind of see like from her inventory of how long I've been playing her. She's the main person I've played. So now we can kind of get to Lucille, her backstory kind of deal. Alright, we'll put on her fancy outfit so y'all know that she's business. So, like I said, Lucille is from this generation right here, and there's 20 generations. I'm on the 20th generation, um, right now. 20-ish, I should say. It's around 20. I do remember counting a while back. I was counting and I counted 17. I had to actually sum up my memory to see okay what generation I'm on. And these are like some of the people who I did because I found a bunch of these in my household inventory one time, and I decided I could have put them in like a graveyard because I do have a graveyard in this game, but I'm like it's more better putting it here. Oh, and Lucille Davis had twins too. Um, well, she was a scientist, so she cloned herself. Well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. That's why you see like Lucille Davis here, because there's like a glitch back then. It's some kind of glitch, but you can kind of see that she had like two sisters that she's cloned. So she had Maya Davis and Sasha, and they were clones, and they're both dead. All right, so like when it comes to Lucille, and you can count the money. This is $1 million, $1 million plus 7.7 million, 8.7 million plus 1.6 million. It's around like 9, 9, 10 million. Basically 10 million. 10 million. Um, this is all of the stuff that they've collected over the years. This is Lucille as a kid, right here. You can kind of see these pictures right here. I found it in her. I found it. I think I found it in the household inventory. Her father died when she was young. Her father is right there in the picture, right there, and yeah, this is basically all the stuff that you see here is like just basically stuff that I dumped. I think every one of this was caught by Lucille as well. Yeah, I think this was because she has a high fishing level, so she's basically keeping all the fish like decorations. This is like the collection chamber. Like if she wants to keep track of it and collect it for safekeeping, I put it here. Um, she won a couple rewards. And you can kind of see here more pictures. Now, this is her current lab. So she even has the whole I played this is who I played. Lucille's who I played for the what was it called, Strangerville? Yeah, the Strangerville like, expansion pack. She basically took care of things a lot, and she has like a crystal collection here. And I'll go over to the lab, like the Eden Labs, because there's a lot of history there as well. Because hold on a second, where is it? Where is it? I always have to sift through every one of these just to find what I'm looking for. All right. So Lucille started as a scientist. I'll let you know like what kind of sim she is. She started as a scientist. Um, and she discovered a lot of serums, and she discovered like in the sim lore that I'm playing, she is responsible for discovering the ageless serum, which she had a eureka moment because Beatrice Davis, the millionaire, the person, the sim that made the Davis family a millionaire. Don't bike there. Never mind. So the sim that made the Davis family a millionaire sold Ambrosias, and so like what happened to sell Ambrosias, we didn't like literally go through the ingredients. We basically cloned it because Lucille was a scientist, and so she made the clone machine, which is why you have you see the cloning machine. This is the cloning. This is the same cloning machine like from like 4 years ago when I was playing this game, like made by Lucille Davis when she was a scientist. And this is the same cloning machine that she used to clone Ambrosias, and she cloned just a bunch of Ambrosias, and Ambrosias sell for around $25,000 to sometimes I think $50,000. I've seen, and so that's how they really got rich. That's how we got to $10 million and completed this challenge. It wasn't because of Motherload, and she always keeps one serum. So she's discovered all the serums, and she always keep at least one copy or one vial of the type of serum that she, for cloning purposes, just in case she wants to clone that. So currently, how she lives, the reason why she's so old, and she hasn't aged a day of 4 years of playing, is because she clones, as you can see on the cloning machine, she clones the age away serum and drinks it, and maintains her youth. And so she's kind of like a witch, but not really. She's more of a scientist. She doesn't really like magic. She has no interest in like doing magic things. So in her heart of hearts, she is a scientist. She's very curious about how the world works. Upstairs, you kind of see her other inventions, like the space portal, the satellite dish, also made by Lucille. Um, what are you doing in the room? Paparazzi, am I right? And after Beatrice Davis died, a Tim millionaire, Lucille Davis opened up the serum shop. So she started to sell serums, and she still sells serums. And this is like the same place. It's very important. This is like the same place that she that Beatrice Davis sold all of her paintings. I just and this was like the lab area. So like in the original, like I can show you like the save file. I can go back in the save file and kind of show you. But how it was set up was that Lucille had like her own lab, and Beatrice had like her own space to paint. And so they would paint, and Lucille would clone all the Ambrosias, and they would sell them for a massive around amounts of money. So, Lucille being a scientist, to make sense of my playthrough with her for making a Super Sim, she wanted to know all there is to know about the world. So originally, I made after I got through the skill of making her rich, like making the whole family rich with 10 million simoleons. I started to, well, she started to like have the ambition to learn every skill there is to learn, which is like simple enough, especially if you have the a bunch of traits from the reward store, which is why you see her having like a lot of traits. She's a speed cleaner, a morning sim. She has everything. So like after I've been so at some point she did have max skills. It's important to know she did have like max skills. But if you see like all of this, like the only skills that she doesn't have maxed out are like the future expansion packs. So like with the flower arranging and the parenting and the pet training. Um, so usually when expansion packs come out with a new skill, I like Lucille jumps on the wagon to learn the skill as fast as possible. We did that recently with what I think it was robotics and research and debate. So yeah, it's quite a list. It's such a big list. I actually have to like expand the thing. So after having like max skills, I then said, hey, so why don't I just fulfill the crap out of her as well? So like my other goal was to complete every aspiration on here, like the fortune aspiration, the knowledge, the food aspiration. The thing is, like these aspirations give some good rewards. So like, my favorite one is Master Chef, where it you always make the highest quality of food and it never spoils. And has had a successful lineage. But aspirations are a little bit harder than skills. I mean, because I don't think I want her to be deviant in any way. That's just not part of her personality. And but she has been like creative a bit. Oh, we have to do the sewing. She has to be a good sewer too. And so we're probably not gonna do drugs. We don't like MIA challenges. I never count like mods really, so that she doesn't have to have when I do have Wicked Whims installed, she doesn't have to have max like I think it's called the naturalistic skill or something. I forget, but it's usually only like the only games and oh, no, every trait is only traits and aspirations that come with the game. So she's basically the sim that I want to beat the game with, as you can also see. So like from the aspirations, I also said with her that I probably also want to max out with her every job. So like I'm gonna just show you that she's had a lot of jobs too, and I think she's maxed out quite a bit. Um, it should tell me that I could start off. Okay, so here With all the things that you see with Green, she was an interstellar smuggler, a professional athlete. So she's basically going through that. Like she's going to work every job possible and max it out because again, she's a scientist. She wants to know everything there is to know about the world, including what kind of jobs you have. And so like that's her purpose. That's my playthrough with her. It's basically to beat The Sims 4. Like that's basically like what she wants to do, right? If she could break the fourth wall, she would just want to beat the. Her goal is to beat The Sims 4. So that's basically. I think that's basically Lucille. Oh, these are so Beatrice and Victor. So Beatrice is the person who got the whole family rich, and so this is them as kids, because they're twins. All right, they're cute. All right, but yeah. So that's how Lucille is. Um, she's recently when the I was so glad when the get famous expansion pack came out because she could finally be famous for one discovering serums, two being immortal, three being extremely skillful, and four, the thing that she did the most was write books. And so as you can imagine, and I add some more context here with her life now, like how she is living now. Um, she's always had like a hard time, of course, like how anyone would. Anyone would have a hard time with this. She's basically had like a hard time with the outliving her kids, which is why she doesn't like having kids because she outlives them, and outliving her spouses, which is why um, the spouse that she has now, Maribel, and she was and the thing is about her is she was a heterosexual, uh, because that's just how she started off with. She was a heterosexual, but the more you live long, I imagine you start opening up to the world, especially when you're open to the world to begin with, and that's your drive to want to live forever to begin with. But when she met Maribel, Maribel was also a bit of a scientist, and she was more of a archaeologist. Like she was very much interested in culture and history and art, archaeology, and with them having similar ambitions about like wanting to learn things and everything, Maribel agreed with Lucille to take Asia Serums with her to live forever, right? So that she wouldn't have to be alone. And it started off as like just like a very very close friendship, but then they fell in love because they're like, oh well, you're gonna do this with me, and then they, basically, yeah, they fell in love because they're like, there's so much in common with them, and then it becomes very intimate because she's going to basically spend the rest of her life with Maribel, and yeah, it's all sweet, it's all wholesome. So Maribel is more like the history kind of person, and Maribel is the is her goal right now, because she is a Davis, her goal right now is to become a professor, because you can be a hella good professor if you live forever, yeah. And Lucille just wants to get all of the college degrees. So we're still trying to beat the game with Lucille. So after getting all of the college degrees, we're going to move on to jobs, like actually getting jobs, so that she can getting all the jobs and maxing out all of the jobs, like getting the max rank in all the jobs. So that's where we're at now, and with Lucille being so famous and everything, oh, we actually have to show the shop here too. So this was used to be called Lacey Davis Sweet Shop, which is just a cupcake shop. So one thing that Lucille did or promised Lacey was that she was going to take care of the shop even after she was gone. So Lacey, I don't think Lacey was the like was the daughter of Lucille, but again was just relatives. So what Lucille wanted to do was just keep the shop open. And so like nowadays she keeps the shop open and she has like some kind of contest that if you are a customer in the shop, then because you have to greet every customer to sell anything in the sweet shop, cook some good ass cupcakes. Butterscotch, that's good. But basically, any customer that shops here has the chance of being invited to a party at her mansion. So this is based, and then there's like a good ass room up here. It's a very nice place. I could never like, I really like this place. It brings back memories too because I spent a good amount of time here. Um, yeah, why not? I have millions and millions of dollars. But there was in addition to being a cupcake donut bakery kind of deal. Oh, Tila, like this is basically what you do, yeah? You know, donut shop. But it's more so just bakery in general. Um, but in addition to being a bakery, I also wanted a place to have a garden. So I wanted to have a garden where I have everything. And so like I tried to put the garden here because you can use a lot of the fruits and plants to cook cupcakes. And yeah, and there's a lot more stuff in the inventory, which is more evidence that I've been playing this family in a long, long while. And I've been trying to collect every single thing that I can. Like I've been trying to collect all of the plants, all of the fruits, all of the crystals, all of the fossils, um, and they really do just crowd up the inventory space and everything. So at some point, I really do want to I want to make a a garden for Lucille. Yeah, who doesn't wish they had a cupcake machine? Yeah, it would not be healthy for me though. If I had a cupcake machine in my house, it would not be healthy. Oh my god, it would actually be the end of my good health. But yeah, I think that's all. I think that's all about Davis. Maybe I'll like if I've forgotten everything, I'll most likely just go back and be like, hey, I missed some stuff. Um, yep, this is basically everything that they own. The Davis Legacy Bank is not like a real business. Yeah, they would need to like upon buying a cupcake machine, they would need to genetic genetically engineer the people who buy it so that they don't they don't go crazy with it. They would have to find some way to I don't know, dull our taste buds or something. I don't know. But man, I would more like a crispy donut machine. If I could have like a crispy donut machine, a Krispy Kreme donut machine that makes Krispy Kreme donuts fresh, hot, soft every single day. I don't know what to. I work out at the gym from time to time, but I don't know 2 days a week now because it's quarantine. But I don't think that would do it. I think that would do jack shit versus a Krispy Kreme machine. That shit is worse than drugs. Well, actually, sugar is actually worse than drugs. No lie, because everyone is more accessible. Everyone's addicted, so and so on. But anyway, and that's the story of the Davis legacy. I think the only other thing I could do is go to Elise or go to the vampires to kind of tell a little bit of their story. There's not really much to them because, to be honest, I have not played the vampires all that much, even though I really want to. A study with rats found that they preferred a sugar water solution over cocaine. I believe that. That's actually believable because like wasn't there also a time where Coca-Cola had actual cocaine in it, or they had some kind of cocaine solution in Coca-Cola, and so like basically Americans were drinking cocaine, and we were okay with that until people were like, maybe it's not good to get people addicted on your shit. And then you were like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Man, America was wild not too long ago. It was wild. That's probably true. There was like a bit of tonics in the past. I wish I would. Yeah, that was a time though, right? That was like an actual era where people would just they would sell tonics and be like, "Hey, this one will make you strong." Okay, so this is the vampire house I was talking about. So she basically took over. So the Davis, Countess Elise. Can you go in the house, please? Like, teleport here. I think I changed some of the floor too. I can't remember. She must have been on the disguise. So she's a Davis too. So her story is basically just that she was born a vampire, right? And she is a little bit of her mother, Lucille, who wants to max out all of her. Lucille wants to max out all of her like human skills, and so her daughter, Countess Elise, wanted to max out all of her vampire skills. Which, well, not there, which you see from here. She maxes it out. So basically, I was playing Elise as like, because I didn't want to turn Lucille into a vampire. I basically made Elise max out all of the vampire skills. She even looks like Lucille too. Let me turn off the dark form. Yeah. Yep, you can even see that she even looks exactly like Lucille. It's so funny. But I promise you she's not a twin, she's literally the daughter. Yep. Death by Silence. So wait, so Talon wasn't. I misremember. Okay, I misremembered something because Lucille was actually dating another vampire by the name of Talon. But she was dating another vampire, Angeal Costa, and Angeal was was not really a he was a powerful vampire, but he died by the death of sunlight. Naturally, he was more of like a pure blood. He was like a pure vampire, meaning he didn't have any human traits, right? He didn't even think like a human anymore, and so that's probably it makes sense. That's probably where the genetic of the child of the blood perk came from for Countess Elise. So, oh my god, they're zipping around. So yeah, basically she was born a vampire. She met Count Vlad. She became friends with Count Vlad. Uh, and then Count Vlad trained her a little bit to become a Grandmaster Vampire. And then she overthrew Count Vlad with her friends. I forget who I think it was her. So Crystal Charm, we'll go through like a tour here. Crystal Charm is basically like the muscle vampire. So if you can see, she basically just has anything, all things muscle, like immunity, physical endurance, and stuff like that. Like she has all of the endurance things that has anything to do with muscle, and I don't, and so that's her gimmick, muscle, like anything physical. Um, Dakota is the same as Crystal, a little bit similar as Crystal. Um, she was more of a person who kept her humanity or tried to keep her. She was a guilty drinker, but she couldn't stomach food anymore because she used to be a human. So Dakota can detect personality. She has only some of like the like mesmerizing, and she has strength and she could put people to sleep and stuff like that. And so like she's more of like I think Dakota was just a little bit all around, and I show specific skills on what I kind of want her to be. And she has so I know that she has sun resistance because she didn't want to be a vampire. She was trying to hold on to her humanity, and she has internal sadness because she's a vampire and she doesn't she inside, like deep inside, she doesn't want to be a vampire, I guess you could say. And tamed thirst means that she doesn't go crazy with the thirst. So like I tried to think about like vampires and how they evolve with their powers, with their personalities, and how they are, with the exception with the Child of the Moon. Now I get it right. So the Child of the Moon is genetic, is hereditary, Terry, with only like maybe like a very small chance of like a vampire who is not pure blood having the Child of the Moon. But if two vampires mate, then they have a higher chance of producing a vampire that has the Child of the Moon, which is why Countess Elise, being the elder vampire, has banned vampires from making vampire babies, basically. If there is a vampire baby, then they will be exiled. Um, while this sim, what's her name again? Heather Lockweather. Heather Lockleather. Lockweather, that kind of rhymes. She controls people's emotions. So yeah, she controls people's emotions. She can put people into like a trance. And everyone in so one thing that is good is that everyone who is sired by Countess Elise has the garlic immunity. She's also orderless. She's supposed to be more of like the seductive vampire, like the actual seductive vampire. Um, while Pharaoh, as you can probably imagine, he basically he's able to command other Sims to do so. So he has like a Pharaoh, like I'm still kind of leveling him up and everything, but he is supposed to have he's supposed to be like the typical vampire that has like he can command people, he can compel people to do things. Maybe he can compel people to sleep. He can. So I'll probably level him up like that. So he can compel people to do things. He can control people's will. Um, and he can turn into a bat because he's supposed to be closer to a vampire. Um, and Kelly, of course, is she can learn, she has the child of the moon perk, but she doesn't believe that she has like some kind of mental block from her being able to be the actual master of darkness as you see in the next tier, because she doesn't think that she's strong enough to be her mother and everything. But she can learn all vampire powers. So like my role again is that if you have this perk, depending on like how the story goes, depending really ultimately to me, of course, but I try to be fair and try not to give too many vampires the child of the moon, and I try to add like a rarity and context to it. If you have the child of the moon, then you are able to master every single vampiric power except one, of course, I think. Except one, because I think that's how the weakness goes. But the more that you progress, the less human you become. And so, her daughter Kelly has been kind of holding on to her imagined humanity. Um, because she's a granddaughter of Lucille, and she likes Lucille. I think she has a good relationship with Lucille and with other humans, like Jackie, who is a vampire hunter, even though she's a vampire. Um, and her mother has a bad relationship with Lucille because she literally doesn't feel emotions. Like she doesn't even care about like Lucille or anyone really. She only has like an agenda that she wants to fulfill and everything. So with her being countess, she kind of sees it more as a duty. Right. So K's is another. Yeah. We can go to K's. So K's is part of the Winchesters, as you see. All right. We can. Let me take a drink of water. I can. Let me tell this story now, because it is part of the vampire story, I suppose. But yeah, she's basically like Blade. I need a drink of water though. I'm definitely gonna put this as a VOD, so I don't have to explain everything. But this is actually a good place to end things. And it's not long. I don't think it's not a long story really. She's in Newcrest, right? So the vampires is not Jackie's people. It's not her own people. Jackie starts off as like a human, and her brother was a vampire hunter. Not only her brother was not only a vampire hunter, but like a leader, the leader of the vampire hunting club called the Winchesters. As you know, yes, that is like a supernatural reference, right? Because supernatural, like the Winchesters are like they hunt basically supernatural things. So, oh crap, why does everybody have paper bags over their heads? That's weird. But Jackie started off as a human being. Let me go to her base, her secret lair, her vampire lair. So her vampire lair is basically the old hideout of the Winchesters. So this is like where the Winchesters used to meet up. So the Winchesters just hunted vampires because at the time that the Winchesters were created, there were a lot of vampires in the world. And what Countess Elise did in the past was so in the past, Countess Elise put one vampire in each of the towns. So in Willows Creek, in that one sandy place that I don't know of, in Magalon's that store place, Basically, yeah, you know what I mean. In every neighborhood, um, Countess Elise put one vampire. And I think it was like a prime vampire, so it was like a powerful vampire. And then there were like other random vampires that I was getting tired of, and so I basically made the Winchester group because I was tired of seeing so many damn vampires. So to get them to fight with each other, so her, so like the rule of this is to fight with the second fruits. Like if like so the second fruits and the White Midnight are both vampire clubs from Lucille's. So the White Midnight is everyone that lives in the mansion, and the second fruits were the vampires that were placed in all the other neighborhoods. So, so Jackie grew up as basically was being raised as a vampire hunter. You can still see, like the hideout, like there's garlic on the walls near the entrance, basically everywhere to protect them from vampires from coming in. They grew garlic behind their houses. Also weed too. I don't know where the weed is at though. Yeah, there's that OG Kush. But yeah, they grew yeah, garlic. And this used to be a bed. The coffin used to be a bed, like a twin bed, because she used to sleep. There's a bed out here, and there's a bed out here, and this is where her brother used to sleep. This was his secret lair and everything. This is where he like researched how to hunt vampires and the lore or the vampiric lore. And they even had like a dog as well to kind of help kind of hunt vampires. Um, and so here's how things went down. The Winchesters, there used to be it used to be full, so there used to be like what, 6 Winchester people. They actually did hunt vampires, so they started only hunting random vampires, vampires that didn't belong to Countess Elise. So just basically randomly generated vampires to kind of get the practice of it. And they made like they were kind of experimenting with like tonics, like anti vampire tonics here, as you can see, and they started doing very good job. Then Jackie suggested that well, there found out the she found out that there's one vampire in each of the neighborhoods, and that were made by Elise. And so they started hunting the vampires from the different neighborhoods, and there were fewer neighborhoods back then, and so like they got one vampire, right? They cured one of the vampires. Judas and so her brother named Judas. Let me show you, or her history. So Judas just wanted to. It doesn't show him. Why doesn't it show him? Anyway, okay. Anyway, Judas wanted to just cure the vampires because he just thought that vampirism was a sickness that needed to be cured, but they didn't know what the cure was at the point, so they were just fighting vampires. But when he did find out the cure, they started like curing random vampires, and then they started curing vampires from different neighborhoods. So they after they cured the vampire from one of the neighborhoods, the vampires attacked back and killed one of the members. No, I think they killed 2 of the members of the Winchesters. And that's when Jackie said, no, you know what? And again, Jackie is still human. We need to start killing these vampires. And Judas was like, no, they're not really a threat after you kill them. And so, like, and she's buff, by the way, because she's lost a lot of fights with vampires, right? You have to be really fit to win against a vampire if you're like a regular human sim. So that's the reason. So she's lost a lot of fights, and so she, like, I think out here, this is where they trained right here, and this is where they hung out. And she started. She was yeah, basically she went to kill vampires, and the rule is that if she wins a fight against the vampires, then she's able to kill them, right, with a stake. Um, but the problem like the problem that the Winchesters were having is that making a serum to cure vampires is actually fucking expensive, which is why they were like selling weed. And there's a whole other gang war that was happening at the moment that I won't even get into, but they were selling weed to cure vampires. Jackie didn't want to waste any money on vampires and just wanted to kill them. And so after they have eliminated vampires from every neighborhood except Forgotten Hollow, they started going to Forgotten Hollow. Now, Forgotten Hollow used to be full of vampires. Like, everyone that lived in Forgotten Hollow was a vampire until the Winchesters, until Jackie killed some of them and then Judas cured some of them. And they had like a big argument about Jackie killing vampires. And of course, Countess Elise got mad. Well, she didn't really get mad. She didn't have any emotions. And she was planning on killing, and she started killing some of the Winchesters to the point where it was only Jackie left. Jackie and Judas. So, Jackie and now the thing is, Jackie actually became friends with not easily, but became kind of friends with Kelly. Because Kelly was Kelly, as you remember, is the daughter of Countess Elise, and I'm kind of having. Go ahead, watch TV. Oh, no, you can't even do that. I'm not sure.
New beam. Shorg.
Just watch TV then. But Kelly was basically yeah, they became friends. Like, as you can see, like uh she's like Kelly's the master, but she became friends with a vampire only because Kelly didn't like other vampires as well. She kind of thought of other vampires as a nuisance, but they have a law in the vampire. The law kind of comes from like The Witcher 3, but they have a law with it. Vampires have a law that they can't kill each other. And so that's how they got their friendship. Like, Kelly would let Jackie know where the vampires were, and and Jackie would go after them. So Kelly was like just the informant. But when Kelly saw that or heard about the fact that her mother was planning on killing all the Winchesters, she turned Jackie into a vampire so that her mother, Countess Elise, could not kill Jackie, therefore, like, saving her life. Um, but Countess Elise did kill
Jibs.
Jackie's brother, Judas, like in the most scantless way too. So, like, the thing about Judas was that he was basically an asexual. He didn't really find other well, like, he didn't find anyone attractive, really. He didn't date anyone, which is why he was like so focused on like the ambition of getting rid of vampires and stuff. So the way that the way that Countess Elise went about killing Judas, Jackie's brother, was using her vampiric charm to make Judas fall in love with her.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh.
when she did, they went back into her house, and then she used the backstab killing interaction on Judas, and that interaction is scantless, dude. So like it's one of the extreme violence interactions. Like if I hover, I'm pretty sure I can hover over it. So the backstab is like you have to have a high romantic relationship with the sim to perform perform the murder. So like she didn't even need to fight Judas. She just used her vampiric charm to make him fall in love with her, and yeah, Judas basically died at the um, I don't know if she has the gravestone. Yeah, it gets things to be much more dramatic. But so that's kind of like how she became a vampire. Like she doesn't consider vampires as her like own kind because yeah, she wasn't turned into a vampire by like consent. Like Kelly did it to save her life, even though she was like pissed at Kelly at first. And so basically, she just used her vampiric powers, like Blade, to uh, to hunt other vampires sometimes. And I'm going back to the vampire place because I think that there was, um, I think it, I think Judas did have a gravestone there. Like the gravestone is still there. Yeah. That's the scantless thing. So like this is everyone who was in the Winchesters, or most some of the people who were in the Winchesters. So Jaden, Jake, and Judas. So Judas' case, yeah, was like is still actually buried there at the mansion, and Countess Elise won't even let Jackie retrieve it because she's just that scantless. I think. Oh yeah. Wait. Oh yeah. And this is Vlad, the original vampire that owned this mansion. Yeah. She even has his gravestone still. Um. And I remember now what they did. I remember now what Elise did to kill Vlad. So I think Elise actually used which is actually it makes so much sense. I didn't know I was this consistent with like the storytelling of The Sims. So like because vampires can't kill vampires, like Elise didn't kill Vlad as a vampire. Um, she used the ultimate cure on the Vlad, making him human, and then killed him. This is why he has like the regular gravestone, and Gio Costa, which is her father, still has the vampiric one. So I think that's basically it. That's basically all of the story that I can even do right now. I've been wanting to do it for a while. I've been wanting to just talk about it, just for a little bit of context. But that's only the Davis and partially like in the K's. So that's only the K's family and the Davis family story. There's the Carly family, there's the Harp family, and there is another part of the K's family. But like, yeah, I've just been talking for a while now, and so yeah, that's basically it, really. I've been playing this game for so fucking long. It's funny. It's kind of like just funny, like the fact that I can even still remember what happened.